Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Vegas Beat, the Monday post-mortem show. Trust me, I'm going to get it squared away here. We got Scott Spreitzer right there. I'm Tony George. A little bit of a hangover from Sunday in terms of just watching the end of the NFL game, Scott. Some insane results. Tampa Bay, not that it's the highlight like the Rams and Eagles, but Tampa Bay finds a way again to win in the final 2 minutes of the game. I want to start there. I had the Jets yesterday as one of my premium plays in a contest pick. And I keep thinking every week Tampa Bay kind of gets outplayed. I'm not saying they outplayed New York, but when you think of the handful of quarterbacks in the NFL, if you're a coach of a team that you want in the final 2 minutes of a game, Baker Mayfield is right in there, man. This guy just figures out a way to win games and get his team in a position to win, and he's done it 3 weeks in a row, and Tampa Bay's 3-0.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing. He landed in the right spot, and I saw an interview with him. I don't know if it was last year, right before this season. They were talking to him about playing for Tampa Bay and this coaching staff, and he said they just let me be me. And he goes, "It's the first time that's happened since I've been in the NFL." And we see what happens when Baker's allowed to be his cocky self, and it's a good kind of cockiness and confidence that he has, and because he's always believing that he's in the football game, and he usually is, even if he's down 14 with a minute to go. But It was funny, you mentioned the crazy finishes. I saw where it was, there were 7 games that were decided in the final 3 minutes. And it's the first time that's happened in the NFL. I don't know if it was ever or 20 years or whatever, but it's been a real long time. And I'm watching the games yesterday. I too had the Jets in my Westgate and Circa contest, and I had them as a premium play at Docs. Here's what happened. Mine started Saturday night. I'm going to just talk about it real quickly, but you can see what life is like when you've got games on the line. And I'm sitting there with Hawaii, which is a midnight Eastern time start. I'm West Coast, so it's 9 p.m. Pacific for me. And it's about midnight now. It's 3 hours into the game, and they're down 23-15, and they're getting 2.5. And that's going to decide whether I have a winning day or a losing day on Saturday, that particular game. So I see Hawaii gets the ball back with about a minute left. And it's not on TV anywhere. And I've got my score app on my phone. And I'm actually doing some work. I'm doing non-football work because I got all that done for Sunday. But I'm looking at soccer, baseball, all that, to post over at Docs and anything I want to bet. And I look down and I see, okay, they're like Fresno 30-yard line, about 50 seconds to go. There's an outside shot, And so then I look at the app again a few minutes later, and it says final score, Fresno State 23, Hawaii 15. So immediate depression, start writing down the record for the day, lost for the day, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden I click on the internet. I'm just looking to see some final stats, and I see touchdown Hawaii. It's 23-21. And I found a little spot where I can follow along, and I'm like, please don't get the 2-point try with a couple seconds left. I don't want overtime getting 2.5. Sure enough, Hawaii doesn't get the 2-pointer. I easily cover that spread for a winning day on Saturday. And then Sunday, I've got the Eagles and the Jets, the early games. Those are my 2 plays. And I'm watching, and I'm like, okay, Jets are down 23-6 in the fourth quarter. That's a loss. But, I got the Rams, and they're up 26-7 in the third, and now in the fourth, 26-21. And, moving again, they're inside the Philly 20 or whatever. They don't get anything. Then it's 27-26 Philly, and Rams are kicking a field goal to close out the game. And I'm like, cool, I win whether he makes it or not. Oh, crap. And there the block return for a touchdown. I lose that, so I'm thinking I'm 0-2. I flip over to the Jets game. They block a field goal and run it back for a touchdown, and that goes my way. So in the matter, Tony, of about 12.5 hours, I've had 14 heart attacks and ended up 2-1 with those games. And I could have been anywhere from 0-3 to 3-0. So I was very happy with 2-1.
Yeah, we had a 3-1 day. I got my ass kicked in college football this week. I'll tell it like it is. There's nowhere to run for guys like me and you. Yeah. I mean, we got a high public profile, and Docs, puts the picks up the next day over there on the website on under expert picks. You can go in there and see what we had the day before and the win-loss units and why we like those games.
Sure.
And just what my day, good day in the NFL, 4-1 day in props. Couple of things about the NFL. My only loss yesterday, I like taking 0-2 teams, against 1-1 teams or whatever. Mm-hmm. They were like going into yesterday, 0-2 teams in week 3 going up against 1-1 teams in week 3 since 2010 were 40-17 against the spread. Mm-hmm. And I thought Houston could do something. I'm convinced after 3 weeks of watching Houston and having 2 losses on those guys, they might not make the playoffs because their offense is that bad, Scott.
Yeah, 2 years ago, we're all singing the praises of DeMeco Ryans as head coach, who I am a big fan of, and also with C.J. Stroud, who had a terrific rookie season, but things aren't clicking on offense, and they're going to be fine on defense because of Ryans. They're always going to be good on defense. But yeah, I watched that game and I'm like, they're just, and they even got gifted a couple of picks, dumb picks by Trevor Lawrence, including towards the end of the game, when they could have tied it up and sent it to overtime or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's just not clicking on offense at all. They need a new OC. There's no doubt about that, who can get on the same page with Stroud and the rest of the offense, but they're hurting. Another team that, I ended up, I went, believe it or not, Tony, I ended up going for the weekend 3-1, but made a profit because I pushed the big play on Sunday and I won the big play on Saturday. And so I end up with a few units ahead at even just a 3-1 mark. But I'm watching on Sunday Cleveland. And it was funny. I was texting with a buddy of mine and another bettor here in Las Vegas. And he was talking about, man, this Chargers defense is so darn good. He goes, this could be a Super Bowl bound team. And I'm like, yeah, of course it could be. And I'm like, but if we match up Cleveland with the Chargers, we might have a 0-0 overtime game. I mean, these defenses are so good. And then Denver takes a 20-13 lead. By the way, that was my top play. Denver takes a 20-13 lead and then ends up losing at the end 23-20. And I ended up getting the push with the Broncos. But I'm going to tell you something about that game, watching it and taking notes. I don't know that the Broncos deserve to be in there. And I'll admit it, when sometimes you get something wrong, but you end up either right or at least with the push and get your money back.
Yeah.
They were out first down, Tony, 29-9. The Denver Broncos, with a good head coach who knows how to call plays for his offense and his decent second-year quarterback, couldn't get sustained drives out of his offense. And that's hats off to Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers defense. And then as far as Cleveland, Green Bay, let me find out a million different ways to not go 3-0 this year. And Cleveland was able to come from behind and beat them. And I believe there was a blocked field goal, and there was like 5 blocked field goals on Sunday. I was, our friend Vernon Croy hit a big play with Philly. I think he had an 8-star on that game, and he had emailed it out. And I'm like, hallelujah, brother. Because, man, it was just one of those days. If you had luck on your side, you did really well. If it wasn't on your side, you did really bad. Somehow or another, I ended up 50-50, and I'll take it. That's 1 week where I'll take it.
This year I'm buying in the fact that Herbert, I thought he was an overrated quarterback because he'd never done anything. And the one time he got in the playoffs last year, they got their ass kicked by Houston, something terrible. This year, Roman there, the offensive coordinator, has got him throwing the football. Your thoughts on them losing Najee Harris yesterday for the season? That's their featured running back. They're rolling. They're the best team in that division. It's not Kansas City.
Yeah.
They've already beaten Kansas City. So until KC evens it up with them and acts like they got an offense, because even though they won last night, they still stunk. Your thoughts about the hit that they took losing Harris there?
Yeah, that's been kind of weird because, he got that eye injury on July 4th, out celebrating the 4th of July, and they didn't think he was going to be playing, in the early portion of the season. Then he was able to come back late in August and ended up playing a bit. And they've got the young guy, Omarion Hampton, who I think is going to, there was times in week 1 when I was really watching that game and I was watching Omarion, have a problem hanging onto the football. a couple of times, not necessarily just fumbling, but kind of bobbling the ball when he got hit. So they're going to have to overcome that. I think they can overcome it because of who their head coach is and because of Justin Herbert. But I also think because you've got a young running back there. However, I don't know that he's ready to take over 15 to 17 carries per game.
Yeah.
And that's what Harris was, just your veteran guy somewhat. And you knew what you had with him going in, for an entire season if he's healthy. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can rely on this young guy, 15, 16 carries a game if he needs it, and, coming out of the backfield catching passes. So I don't know, man. I don't even know if I'd adjust their power rating on that, only because I think they've got a young guy who can probably step in, and combined with Harbaugh's coaching.
Right. And one more thought. So far, 3 weeks into this season, although I picked them on a lot of future show to exceed their season win total, the biggest eyebrow raiser right now is the Indianapolis Colts and Daniel Jones. These guys have had dominating wins. Now, last week, they got lucky with the field goal against Denver at home, and they got a penalty, which was a 15-yard penalty, and they ended up getting but when you get a second chance on a special teams blunder and you take advantage of it and put points on the board, that's what you're supposed to do. So that's what they did, and if you're a good team. This week, they go down and pull out a can and whoop ass. They can't stop Taylor. They can't stop Jones. The Colts, for real, Scott.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought them up, because I might have forgotten to mention it, and I did not want to forget to mention the Colts. I'm watching their game a lot yesterday. I'm watching them all, and I do a lot of Red Zone network. But I'm sitting there, and I'm like, this team, that term they like to use nowadays, the kids, button down. That's the Indianapolis Colts. They are buttoned down. And to see Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, you mentioned Baker Mayfield earlier, but to see Daniel Jones with some solid coaching around him and some decent talent, that team is going to be tough for anybody to beat. They not only know what they want to do every time they step on the field, but they execute everything that they're being told and want to do. Great coaching staff. Daniel Jones looks like the real deal now that he's in a decent organization. And I'm sitting there yesterday going, man, let me look and see what now everybody calm down. I know about the Buffalo Bills. I know about the Baltimore Ravens, the Chiefs. If they get healthy at wide receiver, I get it. But I'm sitting there and I'm going, oh, what's that Colts price on the AFC Championship?
Yeah.
That's how good they've looked, to where I know they're not the number one team in the AFC. I know the Ravens and the Bills, you got to favor them over the Colts no matter where they play. But the bottom line is that is a sneaky good team.
And it's shines a light on Daboll over there at New York and how bad a coach he is. Because bear in mind, they go, well, there was an argument. I was doing a podcast last week with somebody. They were making an argument. Well, he's got Jonathan Taylor, blah, blah. I go, he had Shaquan Barkley when he was in New York.
Yeah.
He had a good running back before. So if you're comparing apples to apples and not apples to orange, let's compare apples. He had the best running back in the NFL.
And he had Daniel Jones.
Yeah, Daniel Jones. And he was quarterback there, and he still looked like shit. Now he's got a really good running back again, but he's got different coaching, and look how he shines. I'm just saying it's a reflection on Tony, how bad that coaching is in New York.
It's a good point, because after that first year, Daboll, he looked like he had the Giants pointed in the right direction, and they haven't done crap since.
No.
And, and I'm sitting there and I'm starting to question, maybe I was wrong about Daboll in that first year that he was with the Giants. I might've just been wrong. It's, it happens. And, but I'm also watching Russell Wilson. In fact, the Chiefs game on Sunday night, real quick on that one, I used them in the contest at Westgate and Circa, and I also had them as part of that top 5 countdown video that I do. And one of the lines I put in there, I was like, and I said this on radio last week, it might have been VSIN, and I was like, I'm going to tell you in 5 words why I like the Chiefs in this game. Patrick Mahomes versus Russell Wilson. Yeah. And I almost left the write-up at that of the analysis, but then I started to break it down a little bit and gave other good reasons. But one of the main reasons was Russell Wilson's going to find a way to screw things up. Yeah. And I was a huge Russell Wilson fan at NC State, at Wisconsin, in Seattle. And in fact, I've done a bunch of shows with our good friend, as you have, Matt Humans, and he says I have like man love for Russell Wilson back in the day. Yeah. Well, listen, I can see for the last couple of years, this guy just doesn't have it anymore. Even against Dallas last week, when he's shredding them, he makes a dumb mistake and costs his team. So Patrick Mahomes doesn't make too many dumb mistakes along the way. He might make a bad pass here and there, but he doesn't make dumb mistakes.
Yeah. Well, Kansas City's still a work in progress. And
get the receivers back.
They're still having trouble running the football.
Yeah.
When you can't get your featured running back to get more than 45 yards against the Giants, you've got problems. And my prop, 6-unit prop, was Pacheco over 41.5. He got 45. I thought he'd have 60 to 80. So we still can't run it. Switching gears to college football. There were some eyebrow raisers. I got my ass kicked on Saturday. I'm going to rectify that with probably one singled out 6 or 7 unit play. That's it. Maybe on a doubleheader card. That's it. I'm still pissed off about it. You can't tell. But let me ask you, what raised your eyebrows more this weekend? Clemson losing by 13 points as a 17.5-point favorite, or Indiana absolutely destroying a top 10 team? Which of those raised your eyebrow more, Scott?
I'll start by saying Indiana was part of the top 5 countdown in college football. It was part of my Westgate college football contest. They're having one this year. And I thought they would win like 38-24.
Yeah.
It was 63-10.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything going in the Clemson game, and I didn't want to lay all those points with that offense. But at the same time, I thought I'll probably win by 10. I'm going to lean towards Clemson getting their butts kicked because we knew Indiana was really good.
Yeah.
It was surprising, 63-10 and like 590 yards to 160. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Way surprising.
Yeah.
But Clemson getting their butts kicked in that offense, shut down again, and Klubnik, looking bad. And I'm blaming 90% of that on his coaches. They're just doing a horrible job right now offensively. It's been that way almost really since Trevor Lawrence left Clemson. That offense has not been good. And, Dabo, as much as people like him and you like a guy who sticks to it, at the same time, he's really stubborn. Yep. And so we'll see if he's around next year, if he loses a few more games. But I'm going to lean towards Clemson getting their butts kicked sideways by Syracuse, being a little bit more surprising than Indiana blowing out Illinois.
And by the way, folks, we always do a reset middle of the show. Be sure and find Scott and I at DocSports.com. That is the home of the free $60. We'll park $60 in any new account. Expand the description below the video. There's a link there. Just go to the website at DocSports.com where you can find a crap ton of free plays written up and all kinds of information, survivor pool articles, all kinds of great things. Hockey coming up, so there's some hockey futures. Some information coming up there as well. All the information you need. It's all free. DocSports.com. There's a tab on the upper left-hand corner of the website. We'll park $60. Any new account that comes with a profit guarantee, be sure and thumbs up, subscribe. You'll get notified when Scott and I have shows or daily free plays, as well as any other handicappers on the website. Scott, another eyebrow raiser to me. One of my losses. I'm still wondering why I did it. I took Utah -3. I thought Whittingham at home, good coach, tough place to play. I know they were starting early out there. That was a 9 a.m. start out there in the Pacific time zone. But Texas Tech, awfully impressive, 34-10 win. Right now, they may have a little bit of the edge in the Big 12, as like we talked about last week. Big 12 still way up in the air.
Yeah, Texas. Listen, I had Utah on a free pick video that I did several days ago, and part of that is if you power rate coaches, and you can look at anybody's power ratings before the season began, and you'll see Whittingham is up near the top of the Big 12, and you'll see McGuire for Texas Tech is like third from the bottom as far as coaching power ratings. Yeah. But when you've got billions of dollars of deep pockets flooding into your program, Texas Tech has become Oregon Junior, and they've gone out and they've gotten the players because of that money. And, they beefed up that defense. Utah found out the hard way on Saturday, but they beefed up that defense. They've got better talent at the skill positions on offense, and it's all come together. And it's going to make McGuire look like one heck of a coach. He's an okay coach. He's not a Kyle Whittingham level coach, but he's got the money and the deep pockets. And I'm not just blaming him. Everybody does. Real quick thought on that. Nil money is supposed to be name, image, likeness. And that means Tony George is signed by Nebraska to play quarterback. He can go out and he can cut deals with an agent or himself with any kind of business you can think of. Your face on billboards and all that, you get your money. It doesn't, and it was never intended to be college football programs are going to give you $4 million a year. That has nothing to do with name, image, likeness, unless they're using your name, image, likeness with all these corporations. And so it's gotten messed up in all the weeds. And here it comes now. If you want to be competitive in college football, you better have some deep pocket donors. The second biggest spending college football program in the last 12 months, the Texas Tech Red Raiders, number 2. So yeah, you can expect Texas Tech to be around for a while.
Very quickly here, we'll let you go. I just want to, right now, we're going to find out whether Penn State's the number 1 team in the country, number 2, number 3. They're a 3.5-point favorite at home versus Oregon. Penn State has played absolutely nobody and been very lackluster in the final scores and what they've done in those games. Whether they're laying in the bushes playing possum or not, we're going to find out. Now, Oregon has just beat the dog piss out of everybody they played, including Oklahoma. They played 2, Power 4 teams, and Penn State has not. But right now, Miami's got my vote, Scott. They look good, both sides of the ball, especially up front.
Yeah. Oh, I don't have any problem with Miami being number 1 or number 2. As far as Penn State and Oregon, I'm not going to be involved in the game, Tony. It's funny. I was doing the show late Sunday night with Scott Rickenbach, and we're talking about some of those early line moves. And I said, it didn't move a ton as far as the actual number looks, but it moved from 3 to 3.5 on Penn State right out of the blocks on Sunday. I was a little surprised on that because I don't see anything about that game that makes me want to jump in with a fistful of dollars on that one. I'll probably pass that. But yeah, Miami and still Ohio State until I see a team, be able to handle Ohio State. Maybe it'll be this week. I don't think so, but maybe Washington can give them a run for their money up in Seattle. But either one of those 2 teams, Georgia may be just outside the top 2 for me right now. But I got no problem with your Miami Hurricanes. That's a well-oiled machine on both sides of the line of scrimmage right now.
Georgia, Bama, big one in the SEC. Georgia at home. They're laying 3 in that game this weekend. So a couple of monster games.
Yeah,
both
there's a bunch.
There is. There's some interesting games in the Big 12 this week. I like that Central Florida K-State game. That's interesting. Bill Belichick continues to prove that it's easier dating college girls than it is coaching college boys. But nonetheless, another Illinois plays USC in the Big Ten this week. USC laying 7 there. Interesting game. Indiana and Iowa. Interesting game. -7 for Indiana. They're going to see a defense this week, put it that way. You got some real interesting games, and we're going to have all kinds of free takes on our Doc's YouTube channel. This week, Scott does a bunch of stuff. I do a bunch of stuff. I'll have an NFL opening line report on Tuesday, and then we'll have all of our picks up on Thursday at docsports.com. I haven't seen anything on the horizon that rattles my cage in the NFL yet this week. And I'll probably avoid all these marquee games this week, Scott, in college football.
I don't know if I'll avoid them all. I mean, there's a couple that got my interest. Real quick note on that Indiana-Iowa game. I don't think anybody will be shocked, but that moved immediately on Iowa last night, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, which was an interesting move with Indiana coming off a 53-point win, perfect game against Illinois. But you mentioned it. They got to play a defense. They got to play a well-coached team that knows exactly what they want to do. There's no flash. It's run the football. Don't make mistakes. Field position with the punting team and good special teams and let the other team make mistakes. And Iowa was able to do exactly what Ferentz wants. So I did not disagree with that the Iowa-Indiana initial line move on the Hawkeyes. But there's a couple. Well, there's one in particular that I'm looking at, Tony. as a potential play. And I'm going to hold off a little bit to see where that line lands because it was jumping all over the place on Sunday night.
As we close the show last week, we closed the show talking about Nebraska and Michigan. We got our asses kicked. The final score was not indicative. Michigan won the battle of the trenches, and we've talked about it on this show numerous times. We gave up 265 yards rushing the ball right at us. There was no trickery. There was no men in motion, guys going, we're running the football right at you. We dare you to stop us. And we couldn't do it. And on the other side of the ball, we allowed 7 sacks. So Nebraska getting closer, Scott, but not ready for prime time.
I don't know, man. I don't know what the deal is with the offensive line issues, and it's been there for a couple of years. And I know he helped get his nephew into Lincoln, but maybe it's time to look elsewhere besides, Uncle Raiola on that offensive line. I'm not trying to be a jerk here. I'm just telling you like I see it.
Yeah.
And the offensive line is not improving. I wasn't so much surprised with what happened on defense, Tony, because Nebraska's got 2 new tackles on the defensive side of the football. And you know what Michigan is, man. They're a pipeline like Nebraska used to be for punishing people with their offensive line. But the offensive line for Nebraska to see really no major improvements when they step up against a ranked team. And I'm going to tell you right now, Jim Harbaugh, to me, his Michigan teams a couple years ago would have beat this Michigan team by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And yet Nebraska can't handle him in the trenches. It was a nightmare. Raiola played well for the most part. He had the big pick inside his own 30 early in the game, which, that's too bad that happened, because if they could have put at least a drive to midfield and punted, maybe they could have found a way to win that game. But that turned into a touchdown a couple of plays later by Michigan. But, man, that offensive line, it's not getting better over the last couple of years.
Bummer, to say the least. Just wanted to bring that up since we brought it up. If we didn't, we'd probably get some comments. You 2 Nebraska boys sure were quiet about your Huskers last week. Yeah, well, okay, shit happens, all right? He's Scott Spreitzer. I'm Tony George. Be sure and check us out at DocSports.com right there. One of the best ever to lace them up. So be sure and grab Scott's place. I'll be over there as well. Thanks for tuning in to the Vegas Beat. Check us out here on the YouTube channel and DocSports.com.